once again. You know what? I hope you've had a good week, but if you've had a bad one, well, hang on, because you're not there anymore. You're right here. You know where you are? You're in the middle of greatness. In just a moment, we are going to have a great conversation. There's been a lot going on here in America, in the world, in Pensacola. We've had a lot of brushes with hurricane weather, etc. And in just a moment, we are going to find out if our guest host has anything to do with it. Yeah. But before we go there, have you smiled in the mirror lately? I know I've been harping on about this subject a little bit. I don't know what that means to you. I'm not talking about a literal mirror, unless you want to smile at yourself in the mirror. That's up to you. All I know is that you're not going to realize how great of a person you are until you start looking at yourself and getting to know yourself. So have you been doing that? That was your special assignment 2 months ago. Sorry if that wasn't clear, but spend some time. I've got a screen here to look at myself. I'm a beautiful, beautiful boy. Don't you think I'm beautiful?
No. Your mommy
Okay.
does.
Well, I don't really care what you think. There we go. One. Yeah.
Oh, is it your actual mom?
Yeah.
I thought that was your wife for a second.
Yeah.
I got a little creeped out.
Yeah. My mom thinks I'm beautiful.
Aw.
All right. Yeah. You know what? I don't really care what you think, but I do care what you think about yourself. So spend some time. Right now, I'm going to introduce you to our guest host this week. This lady is a titan of the Pensacola comedy scene. She is a legend among us. I know that might not mean much to you people who are watching from Sweden, but you're fixing to get to know her.
I'm huge in
Give a
Sweden.
hand for Brynne Mack, guest host.
Hi,
Yeah, there she is, right there. She was already talking.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm huge
Sorry.
in Sweden.
Yeah. You're huge in Sweden?
Yeah.
Oh, well, sorry. Apologies to the Sweden crowd for my ignorance of the fan base. Brynne, tell me your life story in 2 minutes or less.
In 2 minutes or less?
Yeah.
I don't know. I was very lucky to be raised in a home where my parents were able to love and support us. So,
Yeah. Where was that?
In Orange County, California.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I caught a lot of lucky
Yeah.
breaks.
A lot of stigma about Orange County.
There is now. I remember as
It
reading.
was different when you were younger.
Yeah. And well, I was reading an article and they called it a ritzy Republican stronghold.
Oh, yeah?
And I was like,
Yeah. I remember there being
wow.
a show when I was a teenager, something called Orange County.
The OC.
And it was all cool dudes in the show.
Yeah, we all
Yeah.
just had surfboards.
Yeah, I didn't know that those cool dudes were racist and stuff, racist Republicans.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I mean,
No, that's what I'm
surfers
saying.
aren't
It was,
really. I
it
mean,
was
I did,
different for you.
surfing was our PE,
Yeah.
so I can't really like negate that stereotype too much. I'm like, no, it's not like that. Oh, but for PE, we did surf.
It's a little bit like that for me too with where I grew up. I grew up in Oklahoma City, and that's right in the middle of the Bible Belt. And so,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, people think of that area as being very religious, and it was, and it affected me. But you know what? I wasn't an extremely fundamental Christian. My mom was a backslider. And so we went to a Southern Baptist church from time to time, but about all that I learned there was that, Jesus was my personal savior, but also, if you went to youth group, you could hang out with girls.
Yeah,
you know.
like we were.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
Catholic.
Yeah, you could play volleyball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was like you could go and you got to drink a little bit of wine on Sunday, which explains a lot of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
But my parents were more like ceremonial Catholics.
Yeah.
So like it was important that we like went to church, but we didn't have to pay attention. And then we always got donuts after, and like it was a reward thing. Yeah, it was
Donuts.
Christmas and Easter
Yeah.
and donuts, and that's
Kids
it,
go
yeah.
to church for donuts. It doesn't take much. And by the way, the people who organize the church know this.
Yeah. Yes, that is. Yeah.
But I lived in a little
It's all
bubble in Oklahoma that, at least for its time, looking back, felt a little had more modern ideas. While I was exposed a little bit to religion, I wasn't exposed very strongly to too many racist notions. I mean, there was some subtle, as you would see anywhere.
I mean, I would
pretty
say that probably the baseline for California
Yeah.
is, a lot lower for like Oklahoma, like, because in California, even if you are not liberal, you're still pretty liberal. You're not like
Yeah.
a Bible Belt liberal.
So they're just Republican by comparison to all the super uber
Yeah.
liberal hippie guys there.
To everyone in
Yeah.
Berkeley.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
If they moved over to Florida, it'd be like who are these super guys with these super great ideas?
yeah, I feel like that is yeah. Yeah, exactly.
All right, so I know a little bit about you. You got a kid.
I have a child,
Daughter.
yes.
Yeah.
I have, yes.
Tell me about your daughter.
She's cool. She's a monster.
Yeah? Yeah. Wow. Just how?
People
old?
I don't know, like what are children but tiny monsters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a couple.
I mean, you love them,
Yeah.
but yeah, she's
Yeah.
you got a couple. You
then-
got 2 kids, yeah.
They grow up to like me to be an enormous monster.
We're just
monsters
all
grow up to be monsters. That's just the
raising
truth of it.
tiny versions
Yeah.
of ourselves, which I am a monster at
Yeah.
heart, like a garbage person.
You can't
which is
birth
ideal.
a monster and then have it grow up to be a human being.
I
Doesn't work
try.
that
I mean,
way.
that is my every day when you look at your kid and they do something shitty, you're like, is this just my base? Is this what I am inside?
That is the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
You're just like, it's
Yeah.
like if I was just clay.
Yeah.
That no.
When
actually,
I
I'm gonna
get
drink
angry with my kids, like genuinely angry, like I don't spank. You know, that just is what it is. We won't even talk about it. I can tell you're a spanker, so we're not.
No, I am not.
Oh, you're not a spanker?
No, I'm not a
Oh,
spanker.
okay.
Penalty box. We have a penalty box, which we don't even watch hockey,
Yeah.
but that's a thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know, we don't spank, and we did early on a couple times, and then I was like, this doesn't feel right, and my dad was never a spanker, you know, except when I asked for it. You know what I'm saying? But
We've got a lot of
Yeah.
incestual jokes going on here.
Oh, my
and
dad's a good guy,
and I dig
Yeah,
it.
He's very accommodating.
That's fine. They're all
Yeah.
in the audience. That's
Yeah,
cool.
no.
Yeah.
No, my dad was never into spanking, and you know, although I had some relatives that were, it was never like something that happened a lot.
I feel like my mom was into the idea of spanking.
Yeah.
Because she would never do it herself. She was like, your dad's gonna spank you. And then my dad
Oh.
would like take
Yeah.
us into another room and he'd be
It's
like,
usually one parent. Yeah.
yeah, and he'd be like, okay, when I say 3, you better yelp. And then he would just,
Oh.
and then we'd be like,
Oh,
oh,
really?
no!
Oh, that's cool.
Which is, I guess, subverting the parent-child relationship from early on. But
I don't know. Better than spanking, in my
better
book.
than, in my book, I was like, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know, I do sometimes lose my cool.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
You know, and I will come unglued, and sometimes I even look back on it and I'm like, well, I said some constructive things I mean, I probably could have used a calmer tone, but I would be able to hold it together enough to actually say some meaningful things to my kids that I hope that they heard. But sometimes I'm just angry.
well,
And,
you
and,
hear all these
yeah.
stories, like especially now on Facebook and stuff, where people are like, I saw this little boy and he spilled his dad's drink all over, and his dad very calmly said, hey, that's not cool, but that's okay, and I still love you. And it's like, no one's fucking like that in real life. Like,
Right.
those are Facebook people. Like, in
Yeah.
real life, you're just like, fuck, man,
Yeah.
mad, not at you, I guess.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm like screaming.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah. Well, you know, I've had my my Full House moments where I have been a good dad. You know, have you? I mean, are there moments where you're like, I handled that well?
No.
No.
In the moment,
Not at
probably.
all.
No, yeah. I mean, I feel like my daughter threw my daughter threw my phone in front of a car. That bit that I do
Yeah.
is a real bit. She took my phone and threw it in front of a moving car.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like I just get like preternaturally calm, which I feel like is probably also scary to a child.
But are you really sure that she knew what she knew?
Oh,
or is
she
that
fucking knew.
Really?
She looked at me
Where's your
and
evidence?
she laughed.
Yeah,
She
but that doesn't
asked
mean that she thought about it.
She
Okay,
asked me.
For the sake of the audience,
She's
I
2.
I'm not asking you to perform your joke unless you want to, but at least lay out the concept of
Okay,
the
so
joke.
my daughter was angry because I wouldn't let her slap me in the face. This is all real, and so she got very mad, and so I was just trying to get out of the store, and she's like, doggy, because I have like a doggy thing on my phone, and so I'm like, okay, fine, take the doggy. So she looks at me, and then she takes the phone and she chucks it. So she threw it on purpose. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe she didn't have like the
Yeah.
situational awareness to realize it was going to be
Right.
lightly run over.
Okay, yeah,
But yeah, she knew.
But did she? You're saying that I understand. You're sure she knew that it would piss you off. That is without a doubt.
But she knew that she was taking something important.
But she didn't know that your
I'm
husband wasn't
throwing
going to
it.
believe you.
Oh, no, yeah, that's part of the bit too, where I said that she did it. And,
Yeah.
yeah, I give her probably
Right.
a lot more evil genius credit,
Yeah.
but I live with her.
Yeah.
Like you, when you have kids, you're like, oh, it's going to be hard, but like you are really in a mindset where you're like, who sent you?
Yeah.
You're trying to destroy me.
Yeah.
Where's the rebel base? And you kind of have to get over that with kids, especially, you know, when, I mean, I don't know, it never ends, right? I'm like, especially when they're young, but you're like,
no, and
no,
it never
never.
will. My dad is still, I'm still a child.
I feel like,
around him.
yeah.
Yeah, I lost my temper early on when he tried to stick me in front of camera, broadcast live 20 minutes before the recording when I was trying to prepare my brain for my show.
Well, I feel like it's one of those things where, because I have 2 older brothers and 2 younger sisters, and
Yeah.
my family is incredibly close. And so if you were to ask me on like any given day, like who outside of like, you know, Brad and Flynn, my husband and my daughter, would you take a bullet for? And I'm like, oh, my brothers and sisters. But then, you know, on the other side of that, who are you most likely to give a bullet to?
Yeah.
My brothers and my sisters.
right, yeah.
Like,
Yeah, good point.
so like they know what to say and what to do
Yeah.
to upset you.
You know, I discovered something about my daughter that sort of made me take a moment and pause about how much I really thought I knew about my children.
Yeah.
And about myself. You know, so you know, my daughter, for as long as I can remember, when she gets upset. Well, first of all, when she gets upset, a lot of times it's because she did something wrong and I'm mad about it.
Well,
so,
it's
so she gets
projection,
mad about
yeah.
me. She gets mad at me for being mad at her.
Oh, don't we
about-
still do that now?
Which is infuriating.
That's the worst part of someone.
Are you mad? Are you mad at me?
Yeah, that's the worst part about doing something bad. It's not about doing. It's that.
Yeah.
The consequences of that, which we're always learning
Yeah.
that.
Well, I do say that one of the pinnacles of maturity, and I don't always reach this bar, but is to remain calm when somebody else is angry, especially if you're in the wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So she's starting to learn that. Yeah. She and I'm proud of her for that. Yeah. But when she was younger, you know, she. Well, first of all, she's in this audience. Honey,
Yeah,
do you mind if I tell this story about you?
Rachel?
It's a very respectful story. Are you okay with it?
She's in the back with her
Okay.
friend.
All right. Then I don't need her permission.
Do it, yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right. I'm her father. All right.
Don't say
So-
anything if you want us to
yeah,
talk about
I
it.
just don't. I want to make sure that she's not embarrassed.
Legally, yeah, you own her the
Yeah.
rights
Le-
to her
legally,
life story.
I own her. Yeah.
I was going to say
thought
the
that's what you
rights to the
said.
life
This
story.
was funny, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, legally she's my
We went
property
different
until
ways
she's
with that.
18. I don't know how that law works.
Yeah.
But something like that.
Until you give a dowry, yeah. That's
Yeah,
what it is.
yeah. Until boy, that's gonna be a long time.
Yep.
Ooh, dowry, man. But anyways, you know, she would get angry and she wouldn't explain herself to me. Like if I asked her, like, why did you do this? She'd just look at me. And it felt so defiant, and it made me so angry because it never improved. She never would express herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I told you could interrupt me, but let me finish this story.
Yeah.
All right.
I was my face just looks like I'm interrupting.
Yeah,
you now. Keep going.
you're like.
That's just the way my face looks.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Your face looks interrupty. Sorry. Hey, your face looks interrupted.
I have resting interrupting
Yeah.
face.
Rest. Yeah. Yeah. So, but where was I? So
It's not getting better.
your interrupty face got me distracted.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. It didn't get better until recently. It's gotten better. But for years and years, I could never get her to talk to me like you've really messed up here, girl, and I'm mad at you, and all that I want is for you to talk to me.
Yeah.
You know, we could avoid grounding. We could avoid any sort of discipline if we could just sit down and have a full house moment. To be honest, you know, sit down and I'm not even a big Full House fan, but I know what that means. For me, it was the Cosby Show, and I just can't use that reference.
Yeah, that's
anymore.
true.
Yeah, but you know, sit down and talk with what's her name? What's her name?
Flynn.
No, Full House.
Oh, wait, well, there's
Give me one of the
DJ,
characters.
Michelle,
DJ. Sit
and
down and talk
Stephanie.
with DJ and have that
You
that
wouldn't
moment
need to
after
talk
30
with DJ.
minutes.
She was very responsible.
Yeah, and I think that she's beginning to understand that. But what I learned was that sometimes she doesn't speak because she's trying to understand. She's trying to wrap her mind around what she could say that would calm me down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's their reaction to us,
Yeah.
which is because my daughter now, if I get upset with her,
Yeah.
she's 2 and she just goes, and it like breaks my heart because I'm just like,
Yeah.
you're not even gonna cry because because I always say I'm like, don't cry, and
Yeah.
I had like a moment with my mother-in-law where Flynn was freaking out, and I was like, what's wrong? My mother-in-law was like, she doesn't know,
Yeah.
and that was like a moment for me where I was like, oh, yeah, she doesn't know, like, you know, if I
Yeah.
could say 12 more times. But yeah, it's like
Yeah, she doesn't know what now.
she doesn't know.
I was distracted by this wine.
Oh yeah, sorry. I just loved the
it's my
concept
fault.
of everyone bringing.
Bad assistant, guys. Bad
Well,
assistant.
I
for
just
guest
started
hosts.
drinking.
Yeah,
Everyone
you
bringing
brought us some
like,
wine.
Their favorite kind of the shittiest version of what they like to drink.
So I was thinking earlier, this is what I was thinking earlier. I went to the convenience store and I was like, boy, Graham sure sabotaged our show with that Steel Reserve.
yeah.
Let's see if we can take this the other way and calm this show out with a nice, beautiful bottle of water,
with a cab
which
sign.
I bought for you and I
you.
bought
I
for
really
me.
appreciate that.
So I showed up and I was fixing to talk to you about it. I started out with Brynne. Graham really sabotaged this show, and she said, "Hey, I brought some wine."
I brought box wine. I just think that that's such a nice tradition for your show.
Yeah.
Everyone just bring the shittiest version of the thing that they like to drink. I got you a straw. Be an animal. Yeah, wine.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Oh yeah, good stuff. Wine and comedy. That's like a thing.
It is good, by the way.
It is. It's actually Vodavol.
Yeah. I like cheap wine. I don't have a
This was the
refined palate.
second shelf. I actually ran into someone at the grocery store and I told them what I was doing, and they're like, "No, that's too nice."
Oh, really?
Like, well, I have to drink it too, so I cut off my notes to spite my face here.
That's crazy. But getting back to children, parenting is a weird position to be in.
It's hard. It's hard now. I feel like that she's older and she's like cognizant of when I'm here and when I'm not.
Yeah.
And I mean, doing comedy is so strange because when you're writing your jokes, it's like you look like you're doing fuck all. Like you're
Right.
like wait, let's look to camera and do our writing jokes faces. Can we do that? What's your writing joke face? Is that it?
That's my writing.
That's
joke.
good.
Even when I'm laughing, that's my writing.
Okay,
joke.
where am I? I'm like,
Do you ever laugh and just your face doesn't move and you don't make any sound? You're like, that's seriously funny.
yeah, I do.
Yeah. That's why comedians are horrible audience members.
So yeah,
really
exactly.
hard.
I'm just like
Because that is seriously
That-
funny.
the
That's what you're
best-
doing. Wow, what a funny joke.
the best compliment that you can get from another comic is, "That was funny."
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
It's like anything.
funny, 'cause then
Eventually,
you're like,
eventually you just
yes.
your funny bone develops a callus. You
Or-
just
yeah.
recognize funny.
Or real jealous of you. That's a compliment that I give out very rarely. Real jealous of you, because
Yeah.
if someone gets
Yeah.
like
That's a serious laugh with that
real
joke.
real jealous of you. Like
I don't
that's a
understand
good
why,
concept.
but no, we do understand why. That's the whole point.
Yeah, but
we
it's
get
hard
it.
when you have kids because so much of comedy is like, when you're doing comedy, you just look like this. Like you look like you're just doing nothing. And then when you're actually out at comedy, you're with your friends, you're hanging out, you're having a good time, you're on stage for 20 minutes, and then the rest of the time you're drinking. So I struggle with that guilt of like having fun late
Yeah.
at night when I'm away from her.
You ever get on stage and not think your own jokes are funny?
Oh my God, every fucking day.
Really?
Oh my God. Ask Graham.
Yeah.
Every time I get off stage, I'm like, that sucks. I should never do comedy again.
Yeah. What about that night that you were headlining? I felt like you were really into your own jokes.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I
I feel like that sort of, when you're headlining, especially, you need to just fucking feel like you're going to kill it. It's like, there was a Conan, like Conan was like a huge person for me. Like,
Conan O'Brien?
yes. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm like Conan, Kogo. So, and he had this bit about how when you go on stage, like anything, like when you go to take a test, like you just have to be like, fuck yeah, that was the Declaration of Independence. Hell yeah, that was 1776. And like you just to like, whether you feel it or not, like you're just to yourself like, fuck yes, I got every question right. So when you're,
What's the purpose of doing that?
when you're doing 45 minutes and you're like, things aren't hitting.
It's like doing that.
It's like that
being,
because
doing stand-up.
it's like when you're taking a test, like you just have to be so confident in yourself, even if you know, because any sort of think back about like, that sort of sucked.
Yeah, my first goal. I mean, there are several things that I'm trying to achieve on stage. Number one, getting a laugh. But before any of that, I want to be into my own jokes.
Yeah. I mean, and you have to be, especially if you're doing a longer set, or it's because audiences are weird, but you're learning something every time you get stage time.
Yeah.
So going up there, and I'm not going to say that I haven't had days where I'm up there and I'm just like, you fucking suck right now, leave, get off the stage. But that doesn't, I mean, it doesn't help you learn and it doesn't help you grow. And
Yeah.
sometimes so you know what liminal space is?
No.
Well, so like,
Yeah.
generally
do you know what NSIA is?
Yeah.
You do know what NSIA is?
No.
Okay, well, then we both don't know something. Go ahead and tell me what.
So generally the concept... Touche. Generally the concept of liminal space is like leaving something that you know and going before you know what you're going to do next.
Yeah.
So in stand-up comedy, the concept of liminal space is that you go up there with a half-formed joke, and once you're up there, you're going to come up with things that you never would have thought of in a million years sitting down and making your writing phase,
Yeah.
because you're in this sort of stressful situation
Yeah.
without any sort of safety net. And that can be an awesome thing, but it can also be like a terrible thing. And if you don't if you're not like, fuck yeah, 1776, then you're never going to be able to.
Stress does some very interesting things to the human mind. That's the only reason why I tolerated my dad earlier sitting me down and
Well,
my friend Graham down in the chair.
That's exactly, he was putting you in a liminal space where like.
Oh, did he know that?
Did you know that,
Dad,
Dr.
did you know
Jones?
you were putting us in a liminal space? Did you know you were putting us in a loop? Did you know that?
Hello.
He won't give me answers. He looked at when we were doing that spot, when I was sitting in that chair, I was like halfway through my thing, and he stood behind that camera and started looking at me super weird. He was like, and he wasn't saying anything. I was like, what are you doing? And then he just started started walking around the whole stage going, and I was like,
He was stress
dude.
testing you. But then, it takes you out of your normal set of circumstances, and you come up with jokes and things that you, in a million years, never would have
That's
just
why you
written
need
for
to get
yourself.
out and enjoy life instead of. Yeah, I mean, you do need to spend some time writing, but a lot of people go overboard. A lot of people are introverted, antisocial, and I say a lot of comedians.
Oh yeah.
And so it's a common trap for them to think that all they need to do is to sit in their room and just think for days and days because that's where they're most comfortable being.
I mean, when you think about the best bits, like that bit about my daughter throwing the phone, it's real stuff. It's not stuff that you're like, not that stuff's not good, but the thing that resonates most with the audience is like, oh, something like that has happened to me, or I can totally picture something like that happening. Like Dimitri Martin
absolutely.
used to go and write in the park, and he would like just write about things that he saw, or it's just like you need to get out of your comfort zone, and that's how you get.
Yeah, for sure. One of the comedians that I admire most in this world is Ari Shaffir. Do you know about him? Yeah.
Yes, I do.
And his travels. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he'll just take off a year. I mean, I can't afford to do that, but I admire that amongst a culture that sort of makes you at least feel like it's demanded of you that you work every day and that you just the harder you work, the better you're going to do. That's I mean, that is the American motto.
It is. Oh,
you know? And here's this outlier who spends a little bit of time on stage, but then goes and travels the world and just enjoys life and gets material from that.
It's such
that's how writing works.
Yeah, it's such a weird concept that the American dream is to be able to just go and travel. But it's like you could, but it's like, no, I'll travel later after I've made $80 million working my ass off every day and giving myself a stroke.
It's always later.
It's later. It's always later, And I took
That's why I'm still poor. I made a really great deal. I made a great deal of money as a pro. I'm still a programmer, but a while back freelancing was good, and I made a ton of money, and I took it all and I dumped it into Disney World.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, so
like you
that's
went to
gone.
Disney, like
Yeah,
you just had one day at
No,
Disney.
I bought Disney World. Yeah, I own Disney World now. That's why I said earlier that it's not anti-Semitic, because I own it now.
Joey Livingston's Disney World.
Yeah. No, I took my kids to Disney World. I bought the pass to where we could go anywhere we wanted, as much as we wanted.
That's rad. I love that.
Yeah,
That's where my
great
husband
time.
and I are very different because
Have you been to Typhoon Lagoon?
No, I haven't.
Best wave pool.
There
ever.
was a bar down the street from my house when I went to college in San Diego called Typhoon Saloon, and everyone used to call it.
Yeah, this is almost the same, except
Yeah,
instead of drunk people fighting, there's a wave pool.
Well, everyone used to call it Hep C Saloon.
Yeah.
So I imagine that's similar.
It was called what?
Pepsi Saloon?
Yeah. Yeah, this is Hep C Lagoon. It's for sure Hep C Lagoon.
I'm so sorry to
Yeah.
anyone out there that has
There's
Hep
like
C.
that. There's thousands of
serious.
people that go to that place every day. It is Hep C
Oh
Lagoon.
yeah, I bet.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, we had like raging
Good one.
waters when I was young, but yeah.
Yeah. Let's stop for a moment and give some shout outs here. First and foremost, as always, I want to give a big shout out to NCG Studios and all the work that the volunteer crew is doing up here. As I said earlier, when my dad put me on the spot, I'm not only proud of what we're doing now, but I'm also proud of our history. Christianity is not perfect, but it had its place at one point in time when humanity was doing nothing but murdering each other, and they couldn't understand high-minded concepts like you treat everybody equal no matter what color their skin is. Well, somebody had to say, hey, if you're going to do something, God's watching you. This guy that I can't see you all the time, but somebody can. And by the way, if we catch you, we're going to murder you. That's what the Old Testament is all about. And it was all about genocide. It was about genocide too, by the way. A lot about that, which I'm not a big fan of that. But you know what? Baby steps, guys. We used to be a bunch of apes that didn't know not one ape knew how to get along with another. We were just ugly to each other. It took us a while to figure out how to look beyond ourselves. And so just like I'm proud of our human history, so am I proud of the New Covenant Group and now NCG Studios history. And everything that we've done together, we've always gotten through it because we accept each other. And now we're doing some really cool shows. Did some cool stuff in the past, by the way. If you're a Christian, or even if you're not, go dig through our treasure trove of content. Bunch of stuff for people who are in all kinds of places in life. Maybe you're just coming into Christianity. There's something for you. Maybe you have a lot of experience with Buddhism. Guess what? There's something for you too there too. Maybe you just want to explore what it means to be esoteric. Well, we talk about all these things on these shows that we do. We're not all comedians here, guys. Some of us just want to sit around and gab about things that have some depth and some meaning, and so that's what we do, and I hope that you enjoy what we're putting out here on The Middle of Greatness. I hope you're enjoying Brynne Mack. If you are, give her a hand where you are, because I'm sure you're enjoying this conversation. And if you're enjoying it, then tell us. Send us a comment. By the way, you guys who are commenting on these shows, we have a lot of people that comment on our live shows while they're live.
Oh, I didn't.
And then when the shows are over, those comments disappear. YouTube will not let you keep comments that happen while the show's live. It doesn't make any sense, but they just throw it all away. So I never get to see it. You never get to see it.
That's weird. That sucks.
But on some of our shows, there have been tons of people talking while we're broadcasting live. There was this morning on Quality Control.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That sucks. I imagine that for me, it would just be like a ton of show me your boobs. So I sort of appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Well, no, not here on NCG Studios. Yeah, we just kick those people right out of. We don't put up with that kind of childish behavior. Yeah, Brynne. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why we're here, is not to put up with childish behavior.
It's hard in the comedy
Yeah.
scene with women.
We just talked a bunch about childish behavior
Yeah,
on the show,
yeah, exactly.
and
There you
not
go.
putting up with it. Yeah.
That's like a thing that I struggle with though in the comedy scene is
Yeah, still doing promos. All right, so yeah, big shout. I'm fucking with you. Give Brynne a hand.
no.
She's doing great. We are still doing promos.
Okay.
Quick promo to Back Porch Comedy. Brynne and I, once again, we both have a lot of experience. I don't think that's where you started, Back Porch Comedy.
No. California.
Yeah, but no, you're a big part of our family, and they give us. By the way, Back Porch Comedy gives NCG Studios a lot of support. Never talked to them about it. Never asked them, but
That's right, yeah.
But Tony and Jason, all those guys out there, they love me. I love them.
They're
Yeah,
great. I love them.
you. Yeah.
I hope they love me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
they're great. Everyone.
Yeah.
Pensacola is a great comedy scene.
So shout out to them. If you want to see some great comedy, go to the corner of Palafox and Cervantes at the Days Inn there. Go to the back. There's a bar there. It looks pretty seedy, and to be honest, sometimes it is. We don't have bodyguards, but most of the time it's great fun. If somebody gets rowdy, just run. But it's great comedy. And you can go there Tuesday nights at 9. We do open mic, and then there's a featured set on Friday nights. There's 2 shows there, 9 and 11. So that's all I have to say. Just want to emphasize, if you're watching this show and you want to come and be a part of the audience, come and be a part of the audience.
Yeah.
Some of our audience asked permission to come to the studio today. You don't need permission to come up here. We want you to come up here. You person out there who asked permission, tell other people. Tell the people that are around you that are
Lena.
obviously telling you that you need to ask permission. Tell them they need to come up here and watch a show. We want an audience. We want an audience. Guess what? When we left Christianity, we lost our audience. You know that?
No,
Yeah, nothing's perfect, guys. We didn't make a perfect separation from religion, but when that happened, a lot of people that sat in our audience, they went away. They didn't support what we did. Yeah.
Like they didn't support the content anymore, or
They
just
didn't
your
support the
decision?
content. They didn't
Okay.
support. Yeah, they couldn't tolerate it. Could not tolerate it. But we live in the South, you know.
Yes, yeah.
Well, no, I mean that's true of any place. That's bigotry. Sorry, guys. South isn't all.
you go.
It's bigotry to say the South is all bigotry. Sorry,
Yeah.
guys. The South is not even
Both
mostly
sides.
bigotry. That is the honest truth of it. There's just a lot of there's just some really a lot of loud bellowing voices. But in the grand scheme of things, all the soft-spoken people around here, we love each other.
Yeah.
So yeah. Shout out to Quantum MC, my son, who he does Minecraft videos. Look him up. All right, Brynne, let's see. Does race exist?
Okay, like the human race. We're talking about ethnicities, or
So, I love it when concepts represent reality.
Yeah.
We have a lot of concepts, and it's okay to have concepts that don't represent a reality. There's a ton of them, and I love those too. But what I don't love is when we have a concept that everybody says represents reality, and it really doesn't.
I think that what exists is a system that was set up a long time ago to favor a certain type of people, which is white people.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily think that, like, as far as race goes,
Yeah.
it shouldn't. It shouldn't be a thing. And there are different ethnicities and there are different cultures.
It clearly shouldn't be a thing.
But it is now something where we need to realize that you and I, because of the way that we were born, have been given privileges and advantages. And like I said, I was born with a lot of advantages. And, you know, I've done stupid shit in my life that if I were not, you know, the person that I was, if I didn't have the color skin that I do, if I didn't have two upwardly mobile parents, then I'd be in a lot of trouble. And I think that it is our responsibility to sort of take a step back, because I think everyone's initial reaction to like race relations is that like, well, everything should be equal. And it's like, yeah, that's great, but it's not.
Yeah.
And we've benefited from that for a long time. And it's not the system that we set up.
There was a period of time in which a lot of white people began to well, we'll just say the majority, okay? Because I think white and black sometimes doesn't draw the line right, but let's just say the majority began to embrace the idea that just by their very existence that minorities suffer. And by maybe not existence, in consideration, okay?
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of rhetoric for decades, but then all of a sudden we realized, wait a minute, suddenly the majority is just satisfied with the rhetoric. We're just satisfied with the rhetoric, you know? And now the minorities are saying you're just satisfied with the rhetoric.
Well, exactly. And
what's up with that?
And
you know?
it's, I feel like the hardest thing for people to do is just to step back and realize, like, hey, I don't know the nuances, because everyone wants to know everything about everything, and everyone wants to be able to voice an opinion. Mm-hmm. And there are things, you know, I asked a black friend of mine, like, Black Lives Matter. I was like, you know, what is our role, like white people in general, like going to the rallies, like, you know, how do you feel about that? Because there's so many nuances that I could never even hope to understand about that. Like, you know, I could pop on a Black Lives Matter shirt, but it's like, how does that affect change or represent things? Yeah. And she was like, you know, a lot of the times when we see people with a Black Lives Matter shirt, it's like, have you ever been to a Black Lives Matter, a rally? Have you been up to, they have here in Pensacola specifically showing up for racial inequality, which they do a lot of local fundraisers, and it's just, they're funneling money into the all like the different organizations here, like Planned Parenthood, but also just local. I mean, because Florida, like the state-funded legal representation is shit.
Yeah.
So the ACLP, like they're funneling money into there because it's hard for people here to
Funneling money into where?
Oh, to the local legal aid offices.
Got it. Yeah.
Because it's impossible to get an actual, I don't know, fair trial, an attorney who's completely, not state funded.
Yeah.
That will
Listen,
actually.
the concept of race clearly exists.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Off the topic. Yeah.
What's weird is that I used to make an argument that God existed, and this was after I didn't really believe that He existed in the way that we normally think of it.
Yeah.
Okay, and the reason why, and my argument was that if everybody in the world, let's just say the majority of people believe that God exists, and they believe that He thinks in certain ways. They believe that He's judgmental and he's easy to anger, and that He's going to punish people who don't think like He does. Then He's real because the people who believe in Him carry out His will.
Yeah, like
okay,
yeah.
They become judgmental. They punish when people don't think like they do. And so, in that sense of the word, God exists. And in the same sense, I'm wondering if race really exists, because I've heard some really smart people make an argument that just because somebody has more, what is it? Is it melatonin?
It's melanin.
Melatonin is something different. Sorry, guys. Melanin. Just because somebody has some more melanin in their skin doesn't make them a different race. Just because somebody is more prone to a different kind of sickness than you are doesn't make them a different race.
If you look at the beauty of evolution, it really is a beautiful thing that we were able to come from one part of the world and sort of disperse out and then adapt to these places that we were in. Like you need more vitamin D certain places so your skin is paler, you need more melanin. And that is a beautiful thing that our bodies were able to do for us that has now turned into this sort of disgusting, manifest destiny bullshit where it's like some people thought that and they got the power and they got the guns and it was, it turned this sort of like beautiful, it's like a rainbow of evolution, which is sort of the testament to how strong our bodies
are. What you
are.
said earlier about what's it called? What is it called?
Oh, liminal space.
Liminal space. Being around people of different cultures creates a liminal space. Wouldn't you say?
Yes.
Yeah, I once sold. My wife and I once sold our red Jeep to a gentleman by the name of Bun Bunin Satoris. And he was what was he, honey? Mongolian, Korean. So see, that's how little I know about cultures. It's been so long. But all I know is that gentleman got into my car and started it up and pushed the pedal all the way to the floor, and so hard that he made a burn mark on the street. And he was just making sure that it worked, but it made me mad. And little experiences like that over the years have taught me that cultures aren't all the same. And because we're different and we think different, that guy gave me money. He paid me what I wanted for my car. Honest deal. All he wanted to do was make sure that I wasn't screwing him. But I just didn't appreciate him. If he didn't buy it, I would have really been upset.
I mean, also just some people are dicks.
Yeah.
Like
that guy,
like him. That guy could have just
Bun and Satoris.
been a dick who was from Mongolia. That's just some people are
exactly.
Some people are nice.
The point is that in that moment I didn't understand if I was dealing with something that was cultural, like maybe in his mind I am going to buy this. And I can understand, I can appreciate that. If your mindset is, I'm going to buy this, I just want to make sure that this guy isn't screwing me, so I'm going to push this accelerator to the metal. But he didn't explain that to me. But there was a language barrier. We could barely do the transaction.
Yeah, I mean, being cognizant of that is good, but having that color your view of your interaction is like, maybe he was just a dick.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Or maybe he was just having a bad day, or
absolutely. That was a big part of it. This is I'm bringing this story out to explain some of the we are asking people who are bigoted to open their mind and to embrace other cultures, but I do think that it is misleading to make them feel like it's easy. It's not easy. It's just really, really important.
Well, I mean, to think that inherently by being born the color that we were, we've never had to be cognizant of any of that, of walking down the street, of talking to police, of any, of having people think, like if I came up and I tried to sell something and I did something dickish to you, you wouldn't be, oh, it's because she's white. You'd just be like, it's because she's a dick.
Right.
And
yeah,
so
I remember that. I remember when you did that.
Oh, are we done?
Yeah. No, I was just letting you finish your thought.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like that's part of it. It's being cognizant that you even have those feelings. It can be shameful, but it's also part of growing into another phase of your life, which is realizing I've been born with this privilege and I walk in the world differently. And I need to sort of be aware of that when I'm out and about, And that's it.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Well, this has been a great show. I really enjoyed this conversation.
You.
And give Brynne a hand. Absolutely. I'm holding a guitar. I can't. I kind of can. Yeah. All right. Now comes the time of the show when I serenade my guests. Yeah. All right. So here we go. All right. So I don't know if Brynne had anything to do with these hurricanes that have been coming by lately.
Oh,
guys.
yeah. We never talked about that.
Yeah. Well, we kind of did. People can judge for themselves. We kind of, you gotten to know her a little bit, so maybe she did.
It's because all the gay sex I had when I was young.
Yeah. Anyways, hopefully we're coming to the end of this hurricane mess, but hurricanes aren't always literal, are they? We've got a lot of hurricanes going on in this country, in the government, etc. And so I don't know what to do about it, but I do think we need to talk about it. Don't you think?
Yes, I do.
Absolutely. And in normal everyday life, we avoid these conversations with strangers. We avoid them even with people who are as close as you and I. And we're not super close friends, but we like each other.
Yeah, exactly.
I like you. You like me. I love your comedy. And Brynne and I, as well as several of our audience members, we're all becoming good friends. But I like that we're talking about these things.
Me too.
It's super important.
Yeah.
Anyways, until we figure it out where all these hurricanes are coming from, enjoy this song. This song's for you, Brynne. You need to slow it down. Slow it down. Slow it down. Life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg. Race cars, lasers, airplanes. It's a duck blur. Might solve a mystery or rewrite history. DuckTales, woo! Every day there I've been making DuckTales, woo! Tales of daring, do bad, and good DuckTales, woo! Not ponytails or cottontails, no DuckTales, woo! Danger lurks behind you. There's a stranger out to find you. What to do? Just grab onto some DuckTales. Woohoo! Every day there I've been making DuckTales. Woohoo! Tales of daring, do bad, and good DuckTales. Woohoo! Not ponytails or cottontails, no DuckTales.
Woo!
Fade this fucker out, Jack.
Yay!